What's up guys, the Lazy Goldmaker here. Today I'm going to talk about profession tools because they can have a very drastic impact on how profitable any given recipe is. Obviously these profession stats that were added with Dragonflight, it might not be immediately obvious to you unless you have this add-on called CraftSim installed. Then how on earth are you going to know if this recipe is profitable or whether or not these stats help you? Well, you can't. To know that, well, you have to include CraftSim. As an example here, we can see that it calculates how 1 point of inspiration or 1 point of resourcefulness impacts the value of this craft, this Planesrunner's Breeze craft. We can see that for every 1 point of inspiration I add, my average profit goes up by 3 gold and 29 silver. For every point of resourcefulness, my profit increases by 1 gold and 41 silver. So obviously the best stat for this specific recipe is going to be inspiration, and I want to stack as much inspiration as possible. But that might not always be the case. Obviously we have 3 different stats that has an impact here. We have inspiration that gives you a chance to proc a higher quality. You have multi-craft that gives you a chance to craft multiple items for items that can stack. Resourcefulness gives you a chance of not spending or not using resources. Generally speaking, inspiration is going to be the best for stuff where you can't guarantee maximum quality. But that's not always the case. Sometimes multi-craft is going to be better even for those items. And multi-craft is always going to be the best one for anything that stacks and where you can reach the guaranteed maximum quality. So for instance, for these weapon runes, if I use a quality 3 material, then I'm guaranteed quality 3. Here obviously multi-craft is the best one. Resourcefulness can be the best one for if you're doing public orders because you get the material procs back. It can also be the best one for items that don't stack and where you can guarantee a given quality. Which there's not many items where resourcefulness is the best one, but there are a couple, like the Sap Throttled Soul Inhaler that I craft with engineering quite a bit. There, a double resourcefulness tool is the way to go. Now, obviously, for the only thing you can change really is the profession tool. These 2 other pieces, they have fixed stats, so it's only about getting them as high as possible. But for the profession tool, you can pick between all 3 stats as the main tool of the main stat of the tool, and then you have enchants that can give you either resourcefulness or inspiration on top of that. There are 4 combinations that are good in my opinion. Multi-craft resourcefulness. This one is the best one for items where you can guarantee the maximum quality and they stack. So for instance, this one here, multi-craft and resourcefulness are the only valuable stats. Then you have, for something like enchanting, it's going to be inspiration for most recipes because inspiration is the highest value. You can't guarantee maximum quality. Potentially for some recipes like the Ritz, these are only recipe difficulty 300, so it's possible to guarantee maximum quality for these, at which point you would want a resourcefulness tool. Multi-craft inspiration is also a potential one that works for certain things, like it's been good for me for crafting the Chronocloth bolts because the quality 2 material or the quality 2 crafted item is actually selling for like a small profit over material cost. So if you get a multi-craft, that's actually big regardless of inspiration procs and gives you more value. Now, is this going to matter for every profession? No, it's not. It's not every profession. Like for enchanting, I literally just use this inspiration tool for everything right now because everything is just inspiration rely on quality 3 procs to make money. But for some, they can have a lot of value. For inscription, for instance, there's definitely differences. The right tool for the job for the bussing runes is not going to be the same as the right tool for the job for crafting Avantis rune. And obviously we need to go with the cheaper material. And we can see here, if I swap to my inspiration tool for these ones, then we turn the Avantis runes into something that can actually generate a profit. Whereas if we're going with the multi-craft tool, then it doesn't work. Obviously we'll let CraftSim do all the heavy lifting. So just go to a recipe where you, for whatever reason, think that you can make a better profit, which you can figure out by looking here. So I know that I have the inspiration tool. Inspiration is actually 0 value for this recipe, so probably there's a better option. And there is. I can swap to my multi-craft resourcefulness tool, which is going to be the best one for this. I also have to talk about the profession with the absolute largest variety of useful items here, and that's going to be engineering. Why? Because there's a huge amount of different recipes with different recipe skills and different combinations of like, okay, multi-craft or inspiration is the best one. As we can see here, we can get 10 more gold on average per greased up gear by swapping to multi-craft resourcefulness, I believe. Or multi-craft inspiration actually, because I can't guarantee quality 3. But then if we go on the Ceravite bolts, then it's going to tell me that the best one would have been multi-craft resourcefulness if I have that, but I don't have that in my bags. And then we can go down to one of my favorite items here, the Sap Throttled Soul Inhaler. This one doesn't have a quality, it can't be multi-crafted. So if we simulate the top gear, we'll see that we can make 80 gold more by just stacking resourcefulness. And it even wants to unequip the inspiration multi-craft thing because it doesn't have an impact at all. But yeah, just swapping in this one, that's another 80 gold average profit. That's going to help out. So for engineering, you can actually use all of them. Now, as you can see here, for the most part, unless you've farmed an ungodly amount of artisan's metal somehow by getting a lot of dragon shards of knowledge, then you're going to stick to the uncommon quality tools. And I'd suggest, unless you have a lot of gold to spare, then in most cases just getting the quality 2 enchant is going to be more than enough. So we can take a look, for instance, if we wanted to get a jewel crafting. This one is actually fairly expensive, the draconian clamps. 2,000 gold, huh? Bad example, I guess. Very expensive. I guess I need to craft those. Or you can take a look at the draconium hammer. Blacksmith's hammer. We can see that we can get these for at 230. Find any stat you want, and then you throw on one of the enchants, and they're going to be about 8,000 if you want the quality 3, or 800, 900 gold, or even 200, 300, which is what I've seen a lot for the inspiration enchant. For the enchant for quality 2, which is going to give you the vast majority of the benefit. So you don't have to spend a lot of gold, but you do need to buy these tools and have them in your bags to have Craft Sim actually figure out if they're better or worse than what you're currently wearing. But this is something that can really help out for professions, particularly professions with a lot of different quality or different recipe skill recipes. So if there's a wide variety of recipes in terms of difficulty and whether or not they're multi-craftable and stuff like that, then this has some real potential to help you make more gold. That's it, guys. Get some extra tools, let Craft Sim figure out what the best approach is, and go to town.